I have Beatrice Amugune. Beatrice.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning, all.
Good morning,
Hello.
Beatrice. Good
Yeah,
morning.
good morning. Good morning, thank you.
Did we lose Tom? Because I can't hear him. Can anyone hear Tom, or is it only on my end? Wow.
Yeah, he's not.
He'll be back.
Sorry, team, my connection went off. There was a power fluctuation. I hope you're able to hear me still.
Yes, Tom, go ahead.
A bit earlier. Are you there?
We lost you at one point, but now we can hear you.
Thank you. There was a power fluctuation on my end. I will try to also log in with another device just in case the power decides to mess us. Thank you. We have Anne. Anne, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Good morning, Anne.
Morning to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Catherine Ngambi.
Yes, I am here.
Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Clive.
Yeah, good morning.
Clive, I can see you even on video.
Yeah. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Morning so much. I can see the number is picking, and maybe just to save on time, I'll just mention the names so that we can carry on. I have Emily Mganga. Emily was with me quite early, plus Ignatius and Josek, those who joined us first. There is Grace Mutinda, there's Kemunto, Lenai. Lenai also joined us on time. There's Nancy, there's Robert Murage, and there's Robert Okumu. So I think we will leave it there so that we can proceed with the agenda of the day. And like I said, we are here to just interact. So I will be expecting you also to help me out on one or two issues as we proceed. Like I said, my name is Mr. Mchele. For those who are joining us late, I'll just put it in the chat so that we can see it. That is my name. It is on the...
Tom.
Yes, Dan.
Can you put your video on?
Hello? Hi, Dan.
You can be able to put your video on?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Let me put it on for a moment.
Whether you can be able to put your video on. We want to see
Should
our
be on
trainer.
now.
Yes.
Is it on now from your end?
It is.
It is, eh? I can't see
Yes.
myself. Interesting. Okay.
We can see you, so at least we have
Thank you. As long as you can, I can't see myself, but no worry about it. So with your permission, I'll check out the video. I want to put up my presentation so that we can start the business of the day and see how far we can go. What is our time plan? Our time plan is that we be together from now until about 11:30. And my intention is we will take a break at 09:30, 15 minutes break, just to recuperate, rejuvenate, and carry on from there. So one break will be at 9:30, another break will be at 10:45. And then once we come back at 11, we should be able to carry on up to 11:30. And like I said, in the event that you have any question or an issue, maybe my signals are not coming through very well. You can just put something on the chat and we will be able to pick it up. So it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this very short, very intense class. And the purpose of this class is to really understand what we ought to be doing. Because sometimes as practitioners of the people side of the business, we always assume we are doing so much. We always assume we are doing our best. However, from the other end of the spectrum, from our users' perspective, from our clients' perspective, sometimes they tell us it is even impossible for them to justify our existence in the business. So we want to just talk about this environment. And the key thing in that environment, which is becoming a hot item at the workplaces, is the issue of metrics. Metrics in the sense of how do we harness the power? How do we pick the stories that are in the numbers so that those stories in the numbers can help us inform better decisions? And we have been blending quite a number of environments for not actually taking our rightful place in the organization. In the organizational hierarchy, some of us are struggling just to fit in. And it's not that there isn't something to do, but the challenge is what exactly are we supposed to be doing? So our business, which is the people side of the business, it has really changed. And because it has really changed, we also want to see what comes out of it. So today's session, we just have a few areas where we want to focus on. We will be talking about matters to do with the data, matters to do with metrics, matters to do with analytics, insights, aspects of the scorecard. And of course, we will position ourselves as the HR practitioners. We'll position ourselves in the right places in the business, even as we position the function where it ought to be in the business. So it is something we are going to talk about, and let us have fun. Let us have fun. Let us ask questions. Let us interact, and God will bless us along the way. So our starting point is the obsession with measurement. It is a very, very big obsession we need to have. And this obsession is not just about metrics. I know some of you are also struggling with measurement in performance. There are a lot of issues in performance management. We prefer now calling it performance development and improvement, because our job is to keep boosting productivity, to keep boosting the performance of the people. So the key thing we are talking about is measurement, and it has been a challenge for most institutions and for most of us. What do we measure? How do we measure it? And what is the story behind it? And so on and so on. So what we're saying is, if we really need to count in the organization, if we need to have a say in the organization, we better start measuring things. And for us to measure things, we need to know that if you can't measure it, then for sure it cannot be improved, it cannot be identified, and so much more cannot happen around it. So our journey, the journey of measuring, the story of measurement, it will take us just around those areas. We want to start talking about the background and overview, then plus all those other areas. And hopefully at the end of it all, we really have given you a lot of talking points as you go back to the organization on Monday. And the key thing, friends, from the start, to me, it is very, very important. We want to move you people from being transactional. We want to move you people from being significantly operations. Move you people from being significantly clerks of works. You know, we move the function, that is the people function of the business. We want to move it from just being a transactional environment, from being a clerical environment. We want to move it to a transformational environment. We really want to move it to being a transformational environment. And transformation, which is a demand we are getting from our users, our customers. Our customers want us to be change agents. Our customers want us to provide people leadership. Our customers want us to be at the top of the culture transformation. And when I talk about our customers, I'm talking about the users of our services. So it is not the primary customer, but it is the users of the services that are given by HCM. And they have been asking questions. They have been posing existential questions to us. Can we justify our existence in the business? Can we show why we must be there? And why we must be there is very simple. We are part of the team that is transforming the organization. So it is very, very important when we see ourselves as transformational, it will be key to the journey we want to go. So the talking point in HR metrics and analytics is, are you able to be business literate? Business literate simply means, are we able to talk the language of the business? Are we able to align our people issues to the language of the business? Are we customer savvy? Do we understand our customers? Do we understand what our managers want? Do we understand what the CEO wants of us? Do we understand the expectations? What about the officers who are in our ranks? What about the chaps in the organization who are vulnerable? They are very vulnerable, and yet they are our value adders. Do we really understand what are their expectations? And once we understand the expectations, it will be very, very easy for us then to drive forward and deliver what they are looking for. Now, for us to work well by talking about the language of the business, for us to work well by fulfilling the expectations of our customers, the users of our services, for us to be able to be value adders, change agents, culture people leaders, we must stand firm by using data. So we are moving into a space which is called the data-based decision making. I wouldn't want you to go to your CEO, to your senior leadership, and you go there telling them, I think. When you start your story by I think, you'll be very lucky not to be thrown out of that meeting. We are going to make proposals, and we shall be making proposals based on the data that we are picking, based on what we are deducing from the systems around us. Now, what is changing? The business environment has become quite challenging. It used to be. And we usually use the term VUCA on the screen, VUCA, to just explain that scenario, where we are saying the business environment has become very volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. For example, most of us didn't see coming in. We didn't see it at all. And COVID comes in and just catapults us to the top of the organization because everyone is looking at HR. Can you provide guidance on how people will work? HR, can you provide guidance on safety? HR, can you provide guidance on well-being, mental health? So we didn't see it coming because there's so much uncertainty, so much complexity, and so much ambiguity. So that's one item that really came in and turned us inside out. And because of technology and because of vertical and horizontal integration of a lot of organizational processes, organizations are now generating huge volumes of data. They're generating huge volumes of data. Data is everywhere. And the challenge now coming in is how do we harness the power of technology? How do we harvest the possibilities that are coming in from the data so that we can manage that environment, which is volatile? We can thrive in an environment of uncertainty, an environment of complexity, and an environment of ambiguity. So I want you to see those two angles. That we have so much data on one side, and on the other side, we have a very fluid business environment, very disrupted, highly disrupted business environment. And the question is, using data, are we able to align the business to thrive in that VUCA environment? Are we able to align that? So it is something we will be talking about. Our customers, the customers of the business, the customers of the function, actually not the business, but the customers of our people function have very high expectations, and they have become very impatient. They have become very impatient. We have seen generational changes. We have seen what people famously call the Gen Zs. I don't know whichever generation. We have now another generation called the perennials. Quite important in the kind of environment you're working with. And of course, then we have a very interesting terminology for a new generation that is coming into the workplace. We are calling them the digital natives. The digital natives. And colleagues, these chaps have extremely high expectations. They are also very impatient, and they have access to information. So you are not going to be the sole custodian of information. especially information to do with how the people management issues are running in the organization. Those guys will match you step by step on information, which means you need to harness the power of the data above and make yourself unique. Show them you are a step ahead in the way you understand issues in the business. And the expectation, therefore, is, are you able to provide leadership in this highly disrupted environment? Are you able to provide leadership that will help us in decision-making, leadership that will help us in change, leadership that will help us in innovation, leadership that will guide culture, high-performance cultures and everything, and leadership that will help us innovate as a business. So it is something that is coming up, and we will need to focus on it. Now, as we move on, you can see, I hope you are seeing, I'm more inclined to HCM as opposed to HRM, and we shall be explaining that in a moment. However, first, we just need to look at what are the new expectations, what are the new demands that are being put on us. There are about 7 critical skills and competencies that we need. I want you to take note of number 2 and 3, very, very big. Number 2 and 3 is big. Number 6 is also big. And then, of course, 7, 8, and 9, they are equally becoming quite prominent in what we do. Matters to do with communication, matters to do with listening, tech savvy, matters to do with critical skills, analytical thinking, and what about your ability to learn and relearn? Those are becoming talking points in everything that we are doing. Now, the key demand in metrics and analytics, which is now the foundation of everything else we have listed up to number 11, the key demand is whatever you do, friends, whatever you go through, you must be an exceptional storyteller. You must be a very good storyteller. And it is not narrating the oral narratives of your community, but it is narrating the story of the business. Narrating the story of the business in terms of where have we come from. Narrating the story of the business in terms of where are we now. And narrating the story of the business in terms of what are our options in future. So because we want you to be a very good storyteller, the basis of everything you do in storytelling should be data. We want you to build very good cases on the numbers, because numbers tell a story. Numbers have a storyline, and your job is to discover that story and tell it to the business. The story of the past, the story of now, and the story of the future. It must be told by numbers. And when we are talking about metrics, we shall now be seeing how does the data of the past support us? How does the data currently support us, the current data? And how does the current data tell us about the future? So it is a skill that is being demanded of us right now. You must be able to tell the story that is found in the numbers, and let it sell. And I want you to note that we are coming from an environment where we were expected to just tell. And it's a very important area, friends. You better note it down. We are coming from an area where we were expected to just tell. And the moment you told it, you exited the scene. And how were we telling it? We were telling it through some annoying monologues, which are addressed to ourselves. And we were telling it a lot through our monthly reports, the templates which people notoriously use every month. The only data which changes in the template is how many people did we start with in March, and how many people do we end up with in February, and you know. So we have been very notorious in telling. Metrics says you escalate yourself to another level. And that level is, are you able to tell? Are you able to sell? Are you able to tell? Are you able to sell? Are you able to listen? And are you able to discuss and action? So we want you to move from a mere telling environment, to an environment where you're able to tell, an environment where you can then sell. So you tell, you sell, you listen, you discuss, and you action. And that is the environment that is coming to us. And if there's one skill you must have, is the skill of storytelling along that linear space that I've provided. Are you able to do that storytelling? So it is important, friends, as we prepare for storytelling, we also need to recognize our pasts. And our past is littered with hits and misses. We got wounds, we got scars. Some of them have healed. Some of them have refused to heal because of our past. So for us to recognize where we are going into the future, we must actually recognize where we are coming from. Within the business environment, we have seen about 4 revolutions, industrial revolutions that have taken place. There's the industrial revolution number 1, then number 2, then number 3, and number 4. These have all happened. And as they were happening, of course, we were also doing our own things here and there. You can see in number 1, there was a lot of mechanization which came in. Steam energy was key, steam and power, producing a lot of energy. Then in number 2, we start organized mass production in factories. Then we start using electricities. We see assembly lines in production coming in. And then, of course, the number 3 now, we see the advent of the internet, the World Wide Web, key to where we really have gone. So the internet and World Wide Web's comes in. Then we have automation of the businesses and so on and so on. And then, of course, we are seeing now the Industrial Revolution number 4, which is about integrated systems, cyber systems, matters to do with the blue economy and everything. People are moving into Industrial Revolution 5.0, which has to do with the artificial intelligence, which is a worrying thing. It is not an interesting thing. Artificial intelligence matters to do with the robotics and machine learning, and the world is catching up very fast on those issues. So that's how the businesses have evolved. And I want us to see where we have also come through, because where we have come through is very, very important. Now, as those matters have evolved, at 1.0 Industrial Revolution, we had, from our side, we had the issue of personnel management. A very interesting environment where people were shouting at each other, people were threatening each other. Guys will be appointed on the basis of how loud they can shout, how threatening they look like. Do they have muscles? Do they have biceps? Do they have six packs? And personnel was about just making sure people are behaving like machines. And if the machine stops working, you replace it instantly. So we had that instance there, personnel. And I'll be giving you a moment to comment after I'm done with the series of what I want to explain. And then when we started the mass production, we started electricity in the 60s, 70s, 80s. We saw the advent of human resource management. And in human resource management now, we start recognizing people as a component of production and people as a critical resource. And at that level now, we started focusing on them as one of the factors of production, the people, and we started asking questions on how do we get the best out of them, and what are their wellness issues, what are their welfare issues, we started listening to them, and so on and so on. So human resource management worldwide, it lasted a lot through the 80s and part of the 90s. And then as we started getting out of the 90s, we now went into what is called the human capital management, HCM, where now instead of people just being seen as a factor of production or a resource, the people are actually being seen as an asset. That is the difference. So in HCM, we are seeing people as an asset. And Jen, your video is on. If you could put it off, we can see you moving a lot in the office, Jen. Thank you. And Lynn, your video is also on. You could take it off. Thank you, ladies. So at human capital management, first of all, at HRM, we are a factor of production. We are just a component of production. Then at human capital management, we are saying we are an asset. And in the story of the asset, we are saying for us to get the best out of the asset, we must invest in the asset. We must invest in the asset. So human capital management is now the talk of the town. We are having models that are coming in human resource management, the models that are focusing on strategic human capital management, models that are focusing on issues to do with talent management, succession planning, career development, and a focus from an obsession of wellness to now we are moving to well-being. We are now talking about the story of well-being, the holistic human being, and how we can get the best out of them. So where did matters of metrics begin to be talked about? The matters of metrics started to be talked about quite a lot when we were transitioning from HRM to HCM. Is when everyone started talking about the need to understand more aspects of the business relative to the asset that is the people. So metrics just blew up at the human capital management space, and it has been quite a disrupted environment because of the data that is coming in. So metrics, the origin of metrics is when we started transitioning from HRM to HCM. We now wanted to start telling the story about the asset, telling the story about our people. I also wanted to note that at 2.0, we famously had the statement which says that people are the most important resource in the organization. That statement is a HR statement. HRM statement. People are the most important resource in the organization. Now, we are migrating our thinking into human capital, where we are saying it is not that people are the most important resource in the organization. We are now saying that people are the organization. People are the organization. And when you say people are the organization, what we are saying is, if people are the organization, then what are you doing about it? Lynn, you could take your video off, please, Lynn. LN, not Lynn, but L. Yes, thank you. So we are saying at 2.0, we were saying people are the organization. No, that was at 2.0, we were saying people are the most important asset of the business. People are the most important item of the business. Here at 3.0, we are saying people are the organization, people are capital. You must invest in them. You must get the best out of them. So at 3.0 now, we are seeing the demand for metrics thriving, really thriving. We are seeing a focus more on elevating the position of HR in the organization, elevating us from just being mere paper pushers to actually being part of the critical thinking team in the organization. So we are seeing the advent of the human resource business partner becoming very, very critical at 3.0 and so on and so on. Now, what is the next frontier? The next frontier has come in with the revolution number 4.0, and of course it will also go into 5.0. We are now picking the issues of people and culture. We are no longer just an asset. We are actually the business, and we are talking matters to do with the people and culture issues, where we are saying business success is driven by the people, business success is driven by culture. And we are the owners of the people and culture environment. So it is something that you people need to start talking about. And you must take your rightful place on the dinner table, where business decisions are made, because the people are the business and people drive the business. So what is our mantra in that space? Our mantra is, our business is to grow the people, our business is to grow the culture, and then the people and the culture will grow our corporates. We grow the people grow the corporates. So the corporate is not going to grow by any other means other than the people side of the business. Now we are seeing at 3.0, remember at 2.0, we now started talking the language of metrics. What is it we measure? What is it we want to keep tracking? Then we go into 3.0. As we go into 4.0, we now start talking about advanced analytics and advanced insights and advanced modeling. So at 4.0, we are seeing a lot of analytics. We are seeing a lot of insights coming from the data. We are seeing a lot of models on how we can manage the talents, models on how we can do succession planning, and models on how we can create great places to work, take care of our people very well in terms of their well-being, as opposed to just mere wellness, and so on and so on. So from mere metrics at 2.0, we are now seeing more advanced analytics, more advanced insights. The discussion. The question is, are there certain self-inflicted wounds or injuries that as a function, as practitioners, we have brought to ourselves? What are some of these self-inflicted wounds? Where do we become our own worst enemies? And how then do we get out of it? How then do we heal those wounds? What are some of these self-inflicted wounds? Where have we hurt ourselves the most? And how do we move from there? So I want to welcome any contributions to that. If you have a contribution, you can raise your hand. I will pick it, and we will move on from there. You can still put something also on the chat, and we should also be able to move on from there. Any contribution? Anyone with something to tell us?
Kindly
Yes,
come
Kathleen,
at,
Jambi.
yeah, I just wanted
Jambi.
to ask Ngambi actually, not
Oh,
Njambi.
Ngambi. Sorry for that.
Yeah, just repeat the question again.
Where have we failed? Where have we been our own worst enemies in this journey, the journey we have just talked about? Where have we fallen short of the glory as practitioners and as a function? What is it that we have done that has not helped us?
Okay, maybe then I can contribute.
Thank you.
As you did the mapping on the revolutions of the industry and the revolution of the HR profession itself, for me, I see two failure systems. One is the person you are serving, your target market, whoever you are serving takes you as a personnel manager. They don't see the soft HR and even sometimes in business process, you know, the BPOs or the out, they always see the HR as NSSF, NHIF, payroll, you know, the sort of data ninakuona kwa sababu have you finished the payroll? Have you given it to accounts for payment? You know, that kind of stuff. So there is still a mentality of personnel management. But now when I look at people and this is my value proposition to the clients that I work with as a consultant, that I'm not there for the hard nuts. You know, those ones you can hire a HRA. Yeah, huyo wa kwenda NSSF, kutukano na watu wa NHIF na mapenal. But we are there for the person. You know, that is this person that you are paying 150,000. Yeah. Are you getting your value for 150,000? Because you may be chasing the wrong rabbit. You know, are you getting value for 150? Which means there is now room, as you have put it in 4.0, people and culture. The culture of the organization at valuing people and seeing whether they actually get value for the money that they are putting in, because it's a capital, it's a resource that is being utilized. So people are not seen as assets. They're just seen as part of the furniture. And especially the HR. The HR is just, you know, and that's why you can see traditionally the HR office has never been a front office affair. It's been a back office issue. And so I see the disconnect in the sense that the action part of HR is still hard HR. It is not on soft skill. So these skills you are saying, the critical human capital skills that are there, they are not the owners, the CEOs, the people at the top have remained fixated in 2.0 and some of them are navigating slowly the 3.0. Yeah, and so people are not in conformity with the times. You know, with the revolution, they're not moving with the revolution. So what did you used to call it in maths? Kama ukupita maths ukumbukangi hiyo. There is inverse proportion. Yeah, between the and the HR profession as it is, as it were. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Catherine. And Catherine, what is coming out therefore is there's something we are not doing. We have not understood the consumers of our services. What are the expectations? We have not understood who they are. So what we do is we go developing and designing systems from the inside out. Inside meaning what we think is correct, what we think is desired, and we go serving it at a table. And when you go to that table with that meal, we are chased. We are told this is not the meal we wanted. So one key thing which a lot of us need to come to grips with is the item we call the HR value proposition. It is very different from the famous one which we call the employee value proposition. The employee value proposition is the business talking, and the business is asking anyone out there what it is that we have which you must come and partake. The employee value proposition says, why must you be employed by our business? That is the employee value proposition. But the HR value proposition is, why must you enjoy the HR services? Why must you enjoy the HR services? So some of us, we are caught up in the past. We have been pushed, like Catherine, you said correctly, to the back burner. You rear your head, you will be asked, what is your problem? We go for meetings, everybody talks, and then when the meeting is wrapping up is when we are told, and what do you have for us? You know, so we really must justify our existence by using the data to talk the story. Yeah. Any other final view? I'm seeing on the chat. Something also is coming up on the chat. This, we are saying we are not moving, we are not supporting, we don't listen, we don't champion. We are so obsessed, and this is a very interesting talk. Maybe we shall have it another time. We are so obsessed with matters to do with capacity as opposed to capability. That's an obsession which we need to stop. And basically, we are notorious in not harnessing the story in the numbers. Any other final comment? James? James has gone off. Any person with a comment? Okay. So colleagues, that is where we are. We are, for some of you, you are playing dangerous games with survival. For some of you, you are thriving. And for some of you, you are setting up yourself for great items into the future. And the basis of our discussion, as we keep talking about it, is the storyteller. Are you a storyteller? And are you able to tell? Are you able to sell? Are you able to listen? Are you able to discuss and then action? So we want you to migrate from mere telling to selling, discussion, action. Selling, discussion, action. Are you a good seller? So it is something I would want us to grow through and see how it comes to us. I want just to bring back we should be stopping in the next 5 minutes. I want to just take advantage of a moment here and move something ahead. So basically we were in that space where we are talking about where we need to be. And where we need to be is we need to learn how to grow our people capabilities. capabilities are infinite. Capacity is finite. It is a very, very big talking point. And it is a talking point that will take us into the future. So what we are saying, colleagues, is we need to start thinking. We need to start focusing on data. We need to start focusing on measurements. And like I said earlier in my introduction, technology has made us to have an abundance of data. There is so much data around you, your colleagues, the business, and everything. We need to start asking, what can we do to get the best out of this data? And for us to start thinking like that, we need to learn how we can assign numbers. How we can assign numbers. How we can quantify, because that is the challenge. The data is all over, but is it quantified? How can we assign numbers? How then can we start looking at the numbers that matter? Because we will assign numbers to just about everything happening around us. However, we need to carry with the numbers that matter. We need to keep running with the numbers that matter. So in this journey we are starting, the first headache you must have is, are we able to assign numbers to everything that we do in the employee life cycle? Are we able to assign numbers to manpower planning? Are we able to assign numbers to resourcing? Are we able to assign numbers to learning and development, all the activities in that area, in that space? Are we able to assign numbers to reward and compensation, performance development and improvement, employee relations, separation, the work environment, the context of work? What about the content of work? So we must be spoiled on the numbers area. And the moment we have assigned the numbers, the next thing we need to start asking is, we don't need all those numbers going forward. However, we need to identify the numbers that align to the business strategy, the numbers that will respond to the challenges the business is facing, and are we able to start working with those numbers? So that is the challenge we are dealing with. And it is a challenge we have to see how it comes through. So colleagues, I want us to give ourselves some 5 minutes, actually, not even 10 or 15, just 5 minutes to do a refreshment, changeover, do everything, because now we want to start speaking the story of the numbers. So we'll pick up at exactly 0940. 0940, I will start the next momentum. Thank you so much. If you have any queries, you can put them on the chat. I will interact with them. If you have any arising issues, just put them on the chat and we shall interact as a team. Thank you so much.